Welcome to the Live Life Well podcast for busy women with me, Joanne Bibby. I hope this is a place where you'll find encouragement, inspiration and community to live life well, body, mind and soul. Welcome to you if you are listening to this episode of the Live Life Well podcast for busy women. And I hope this just encourages you to take some time out to listen and think about how you can take care of yourself, because you're so worthy of that. So you can feel as good as you're meant to feel, body, mind and soul. And I'm really delighted to introduce today's guest, my good friend, Ashleyaandrew, who I'm going to introduce in a moment. And Ashley, I just love your heart and I'm so glad you're on. We've known each other for years, but have sort of reconnected recently, haven't we? Through our mutual friends at your church in Glasgow. And it's been so lovely to reconnect and just see your journey. And I love that on your Instagram bio, you describe yourself as a dreamer, a believer, a hiker, an actor, an adventurer, and most importantly, Scottish. So please tell us what else we need to know about you, Ashley.
It's funny, isn't it? Like on those little Instagram bios, you think, oh, how would I describe myself? Or it's that interview, isn't it, where they say, please describe yourself in 3 words.
Yeah.
But that kind of sums up me, and it's kind of summed up me for since I was little. Always been Scottish. I was born in a little village about 10 miles outside of Glasgow in the countryside, so that does make me a hiker. I do enjoy outdoors and being outdoors. I enjoy hiking and climbing the hills. I'm not a Munro bagger. I have done Munros, but I don't count them. I just enjoy the scenery. So I can strongly recommend if you're visiting Scotland, do like Ben Ledi, do Ben Lomond. These are amazing mountains to explore. We've got some great views and great scenery up here. And if you also like, any kind of theatre, you might see me pop up across the country. During the summer, I did a production of Paddington in Edinburgh, which was also outdoors. I love a bit of an outdoor production. That's always good. I love doing family and children's theatre. Normally at this time of the year, I'm doing pantomime. However, this year, I've taken a bit of a creative road to the right, shall we say, and done some drama workshops with offenders and recovering addicts. So that's a bit of a diversion for me, but I'm really, really enjoying it. And I also do a little bit of writing on the side as well. So, but as you said, those words kind of basically sum me up. And I usually, I'm not today actually, but I usually wear a lot of yellow. That's usually what you'll see me in. But it's winter time, so the yellow has kind of pulled back a little bit.
Oh, I love that. You've got a bit of a brand colour going on. And I think yellow reflects your personality very well, Ashley. It's like so bright and happy, and you're like a ray of sunshine in any room. So I think it's definitely a colour that suits you. And it sounds like you don't discriminate between a hill and a mountain. It's more just about the experience of getting outside. I like that, because sometimes we push ourselves, don't we, to think we've got to do the big challenges, and really it has to really be really hard to count. But actually, I guess that's a message in that, is just to enjoy the journey. It's not all about achievements and pushing yourself. Sometimes it's about going slowly and gently too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, it's not the Munro baggers, it's the Munro braggers. You talked about on the bonus Christmas episode of the podcast about having to keep up with Instagram and the pajama images. You've all got the branded pajamas or the steam train trip with the kids. But as you said quite rightly, family just wants you. They don't want your Instagram posts. Those kids are not bothered about how many likes, how many followers you have. They just want your time and your space. In my family, although I don't have kids, I've got older parents. They do not want me on a phone. So I know that it works both ways. It really does. What's most important is what's most important. Instagram, one of these days, will be replaced, I'm sure, by something that someone's going to invent in the future. So we better not get caught up about it now.
That's so true. It's like, what do we want our lives to count for? It's definitely not Instagram likes, because they won't last. Well, they're not lasting treasure for sure. And That's really exciting that you're getting to have a Christmas off panto, I guess. I guess it's been so much fun doing it, but I can imagine it must be so nice. All the work that you're doing now sounds amazing and will be intense in its own way, I'm sure. It must be so nice to be able to slow down a bit this Christmas and enjoy the season.
Well,
Or
in
not.
our family, we don't really slow down. We've got, so my dad's birthday is the 2nd of December. Happy birthday, Dad.
Aww.
My mum's birthday is the 18th of December. Happy birthday, Mum. And my birthday is the 21st of December, 4 days before Christmas.
Oh my goodness.
So we are not a slow down family. In fact, my sister, whose birthday is in June, doesn't really know quite how to keep up with the pace of all of that, although she does rather well. But there is a lot going on in December. In fact, now that I've taken a couple of years off panto, actually, I've kind of wondered, how did I ever do it? How did that ever happen? How did I ever have a life? Yeah.
Oh, it must be expensive month for your sister Louise then. She'll have to save up all year. But at least you get to enjoy the celebrations, I guess.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, we're Christmas daft in our house anyway. It's like Christmas threw up. So although I did my little preach there about Instagram and, not making it look to be fair, the decorations are some of them are a good 10 years old, maybe more. A good long time. We reuse our decorations.
Yeah, it's about enjoying it how you want to enjoy it. I guess that was the message of the podcast, wasn't it? It's about taking that pressure off. But if you want to go full out, go full out. If that's what brings you joy, just don't do it to please anyone else. Do it because that's what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So you talked to us a bit about your hiking and your other passions, but I'd just love you to sum up for us, Ashley. What does living life well mean to you?
I think, well, you and I both know that Glasgow's motto for the city is, let Glasgow flourish. And the other part of that is let Glasgow flourish by the preaching of God's word, which as a person of faith really does make sense to me. The first thing that resonates with me is that I do want to flourish in life. I really do. And I want others to flourish in life. So even when I'm doing theatre, and it can be, it can be just simply putting on a show if you were just to define it in one respect. But actually, when I was, in the production of Paddington, we did many, many accessible performances, and those ones just stole my heart. I was very grateful in the sense that I got to do the majority of those accessible performances, because we had actors who would shadow the roles because we did so many performances during the day. But so something like taking delight in taking a child by the hand who maybe is a little bit afraid of loud noises, who is autistic, or who does have additional support needs or learning support needs, taking that time to perform to that person is really important in their unique way. So to me, that's encouraging flourishing. But I think we all need to take time out to flourish for ourselves.
Yeah.
So we can flourish in our work, absolutely, and more often than not we do, because it's such a priority because of our culture and society. But to be able to flourish at home, or flourish in our faith, or flourish in our family, or flourish in our eating, or flourish in our getting outdoors, like making that time and saying, in order for me to flourish, I actually do need to be outside. I do need to get fresh air. I need to get my steps in, because when I do that, I just oxygen to my brain. I flourish. It's just simply, it's let Ashley flourish as much as it is the city's motto. Yeah. I want to flourish too. So how do I let Ashley flourish? I have to do all of those things that actually make sense. If we listen to our bodies, and we stop for a second and think, oh, I've spent 6 hours on a screen today, maybe I do need to go for a walk at lunch outside and just experience the outdoors, even if it's raining, which it has been for about 7 weeks in Scotland.
I can imagine. I don't miss that. That's so good though, and I'm so glad you've highlighted the fact that, like, we all want to flourish. We don't want to just survive life and get through it. We want to flourish and really live life to the full. And I know, and I can see your passion to help other people do that. I've seen how you care for others and you encourage others, but it has to start with us, doesn't it? We can't do what we want to do well, or help others if we're not flourishing, and it is taking those steps to take care of ourselves well. So yeah, I'm really glad you've highlighted that. I can totally see that, and especially as an actor, as a performer, you must really need to take care of yourself, because you must give so much of yourself to your performances. My guilty pleasure, I love Robbie Williams. It's not a secret to those who know me. Went to see him last month. It was very exciting. But I was listening to a podcast with him today because I love him, and he was talking about how he loves performing, but he has a massive fear of it, because he knows how much it's going to take off him, and he feels he doesn't have it in him to give as much as he needs to give. But he does it, he finds it. But he said he should really be at like the fitness of an athlete to do a concert, and he says he's not, but that's what he should be at. And I can imagine in the creative world, you do really need to take care of yourself. But we all do to a level, don't we? But especially in that field.
You mentioned something really interesting, and I love the fact that you're confessing once again that, you know, your love for Robbie Williams. It's fine. It's okay. I think I think the key. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I can just simply go by my experience, and I'm sure some of your listeners and audience members' experience is that I don't know that it all just hasn't got to start in our minds first of all. Because Robbie would have to decide in his mind, yeah, I'm going to perform today. If he tells himself, no, I'm not doing it, he ain't doing it, no matter how fit he is. No matter if he's just gone to the gym and done a workout, if he's got all his protein, if he's been, you know, off the alcohol and he's proper clean or whatever. And I'm the same. I'm exactly the same. If I tell myself if I can't do the part, if I can't perform, if I can't do the workshops that I'm doing. And to be fair, as I said, my career at the moment has taken a wee road, you know, off of what I would usually do. And there is that moment in my head where I go, yeah, but you've not worked in this way before. You've not worked with this particular group before.
Yeah.
You know, what if it doesn't work? What if they don't like you? What if what you give, what you bring to the table isn't going to work for them? It's that imposter syndrome, isn't it? So if we give in and we listen to that, we never get the chance to flourish. We never get the chance, you know, Robbie Williams showing up and giving the audience a really good time. I'm sure you had the best time at a concert.
I did.
And I can only imagine, Joanne, because I've been in concerts where you're just like, it's the experience.
Yeah.
And so again, as a performer, like for a lot of my work I do with kids and adults, families, I'm surrounded by families. When you take a child, you know, and bring them into the story with you, like you're caught up in them and what they're experiencing. They've experienced something that they'll never experience in school, even at the cinema. They don't experience because it's not live. It's not human. You know, I've never experienced anything like that. And of course, mums and dads, grannies and grandpas, they all know when they're watching children getting caught up, they get caught up as well. So it's like a win-win situation. But definitely, like, I totally resonate with what Robbie Williams is saying. I've never said those words in my life. But just to say, I do resonate with Robbie. I do resonate with Robbie in the sense of, no, yeah, but you do have to make that decision, and the decision is made in your mind. It is that mental health. It is that deciding, no, I'm going to do this because I've got something to bring to the table.
Yes. Yeah, and that's something that we can all learn from. The wisdom of Robbie. There we go. We've heard it here. But I guess as a performer, it's like a snapshot of, it's like an extreme example of why it's so important to take care of yourself so that you can give of yourself. But actually, we're all in that arena to some degree, aren't we? We all need to do those things. So I'd love to hear more about that, like how you take care of yourself, Ashley. I know you've spoken about nature being important to you for nourishing your soul, but you and me were talking about this really lovely concept of creating kind of safe spaces in your life. And I'd just love to explore that more with you, that sort of what that means to you, how you practice that, and how that sort of benefits your well-being. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all relative. As I said, those words at the beginning of my Instagram bio, like, that is me. A lot of my bio pics are just Instagram pics are me being outdoors in nature and in my safe spaces. So we've all lived through what we've lived through the past few years. And I think I realised really, really quickly that it was important to have a safe space outdoors, that was not in my home.
Yeah.
I'm sure some other people would probably find a similar sort of desire after we've been stuck in for 2.5 years, nearly 3 years, my goodness, needing to be out with the space that we were just so locked in. So when restrictions were lifted, I very much just clung to the spaces around me, sort of nearby, that were accessible to me via car and foot, but that were outdoors and were uninterrupted. Now, thankfully, I live in a nation that, you do still have, we do still have our spaces, our green spaces, our open spaces. We do still have places where people don't go. And so at certain times of the day, I would time it where I would go and be alone by myself in my safe space, or my sacred space, as I like to call it. And I would urge everyone I talk to, for your own mental health and for your own development, for your own human flourishing, for creativity and creative ideas, for dreaming, for having time alone for yourself is so, so important. But if you can, where you can, if you have mobility to do so, go outdoors. Go and find a space outdoors. Now, where you are might be a wonderful, sacred, safe space in a park, and there are people about, but you feel safe because you perhaps don't feel safe being completely on your own. I do, because it's just the way that I've been brought up. There's plenty of spaces around me where people are not around, but if that fills you with the fear, then go to the park that feels most comfortable to you and sit. Now, some people might think, oh, that's amazing, I know exactly what to do when I get to those lovely spaces. I've got one in my head right now. And, we all watch these films, Joanne, where there's a beautiful image of a lovely space, outside, and the sun's always out, of course it is, and the music is playing. But you as an audience member go, oh, that's so nice. Or you feel drawn in, or you feel drawn to want to go there. There is a reason for that, because we do have that longing to be in beautiful spaces. But what I was going to say is that when I'm saying that, if somebody's sitting there thinks, yeah, but I don't be still, that's not, I don't do the stillness thing, so what do I do when I get there?
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to panic, because I am very much like this. I need a to-do list for my to-do list. So if when I'm saying this and you're like, oh, this is amazing, but what do I do when I get there? I have a list for you. I have a checklist.
Amazing.
Of things to do. Because obviously we are creative individuals, and there's plenty of things that we can do. So I'll say a few things, and if one of them resonates with you, great. If all of them resonate with you, brilliant. If some of them don't resonate with you, yeah, no worries. Some of them won't. So my first thing to say is, when you get to your sacred space, wherever it is, and I'm sure as I'm describing it or talking about it, you've probably already thought of a space. Maybe it's a park, maybe it's by the beach, maybe it's a place that you used to visit but don't go to anymore, you've forgotten about. Maybe you've put off not going there because you think it might take a little bit longer to get there. You might need childcare, or there's several things putting you off. Can I say to you, don't stop yourself before you've even started.
Yeah.
Get some childcare, or go when the kids are at school, or take some time out on your lunch break. Just excuse yourself from the lunch table at work and go and find your safe space, your sacred space. And the first thing I would tell you to do when you get there is breathe. And you're probably thinking, oh, I saw that one coming, I do that naturally. So, next one, please. But no, I genuinely mean intentional breathing. And I'm sure everybody's aware of all these wonderful, great apps that help us to do that. They literally help us to breathe. The Calm app, for example. There's a great app called Soul Time. There's a wonderful app called the YouVersion Bible app, which if you're a Christian, you've got faith, you can use that one to engage with God, and through breathing, just chilling, just taking some time. So my first thing is to say to you, breathe, but be intentional with your breathing. So take a big deep breath in, hold it, let it go. And maybe set a timer. Set a timer on your phone for like 5 minutes to just literally breathe and to not focus on anything. You've just to breathe in that space. Now, if that one just sounds a wee bit too still for you, I've got another one for you. I want you to notice. So after you've breathed, I want you to notice what's around you. I want you to notice 5 things. Like the trees, the flowers, the grass. Is the grass wet? Is there a breeze? Is it blue sky? How many clouds are there? Are there birds overhead? Are there birds singing? Just notice 5 things. And the next thing I want you to do is to actually use your 5 senses. There's a little bit of a theme going on here. Use your five senses and engage with the outdoors. So you've already engaged your breathing. You've already engaged your awareness of what's around you. But now my next thing is to notice and use your senses by noticing. So what can you smell? What can you see? What can you hear? What can you taste? Maybe there's like that taste after the rain has been. What can you feel? Maybe it's like the dampness of the ground. So use your 5 senses when you're out. So we're going to breathe. We're going to notice. We're going to use our 5 senses. And the next thing I want you to do, because you'll naturally do it anyway, is just to expand your mind and dream. Why don't you take a notepad with you? Why don't you take a blank pad and draw, write, pray, write down your innermost thoughts, those thoughts that you don't want to acknowledge. Just write them down, because you're in your safe space, so it doesn't matter. So as soon as you write them down, you can close the book and just go, right, safe space, done. That stays there. But at least they'll be out of your mind. So that's my next thing is to dream, to draw, to have a think, to use your imagination. And finally, I would ask you, what do you want to bring back from your safe space? Would you like to bring home some autumn leaves? Something that looked really interesting, that was such a strange colour or an interesting colour? Do you want to bring home a little rock that you stumbled over? Do you want to bring home a flower? And when you do that, when you pop it home, like in your room or in your space, in your kitchen or on the window ledge or something, you'll remember your safe space. You'll remember the things you dreamed about. You'll remember being creative, and you'll be encouraged to go back out again. It'll just be a lovely little reminder of that time that you took for you to flourish and find yourself in a safe space. So those are my top tips. I mean, I could go on forever, but actually, to be fair, see, once you get in your safe space, you'll do what you need to do for you. You'll do it naturally. You will do it. The breathing thing will come naturally, or the noticing thing will come naturally. And now, if you're anything like me, as I said, I need a list for a list. If you want to know what to pack, or just like some just little checkpoints, just to say, because I live in Scotland, so you've got to be prepared for all weather. So one, of course, dress for the weather. Take your notepad and pen. Always take your notepad and pen. Do you know something? See, if you drive, stick a notepad and a pen in your glove compartment. Stick a notepad and pen in your car, because you'll find, like, maybe on that lunch break, right? You'll have a spare or an extra long lunch break, so the notepad will already be there, and you can write stuff down or draw or whatever. Take something to sit on. I have always got my picnic blanket in the back of my car, because I never know where I might be. I also don't want a wet bum. Take your flask. Always got a flask. Always need a wee cup of tea, because you know fine well, and once you get into it, you actually end up being there longer than what you think. If you need to, take a map, obviously, in case you don't know the area too well. Take your phone. Not that I'm too overly keen on engaging digitally when you're being in the outdoors. I would say, just for safety's sake, take your phone. You can always send someone a message saying, I'm just heading out for a walk or whatever. I would say as well, if you're in a space where there is a lot of overhead noise, or traffic going by, or airplanes going by, that's okay. We all live in different areas. You may want to take your headphones. Just saying. Finally, be aware of your parking, where you're parked, and how you're going to, leave your car or get home if you're getting a bus at different routes, different times. And the other thing I wanted to say was, just off the back of a lovely lady who shared on the podcast before, she did say the words, look after, your well-being. So I would say that the next thing you have to do is to make a date. Now that I've said this, I am challenging you. Get your diary out, do it right now as I'm speaking, and circle a date in the month that sticks out to you. Now, for me, I actually have a day in the month where I make space. It's a specific day in the month where I'm like, that is my day away. Because if I only manage one day for me, then I'm doing pretty well. There we go.
Oh, Ashley, that was so good. I've written down all these points. I love a list and I love practical tips. So you were speaking my language and I just loved everything you said. It's just really about prioritizing that time out, isn't it? And once we do that, like you see, you'll want to keep doing it. It's those healthy habits that we don't know are good for us until we do them. And there's something really powerful about being out in nature that just restores us in a way that resting indoors or other things we do to distract or relax, like watching TV, they just don't restore us. They actually drain us, don't they? So that sounds so good. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow your advice because me and my husband, Matt, we keep saying this, like once a month, we should give each other permission to have a day away. One of us will stay with the kids and do something fun. One of us will go away into nature and we just don't get around to it. But I know how beneficial it would be. It's like you feel selfish, but like we're saying, you can't flourish unless you take care of yourself. So I'm going to take up your challenge. I'm going to do it because I go for a walk most days, but that's like 20 minutes, half an hour, and it's lovely and it's really important for my well-being. But I don't get the full benefits of actually like soaking up the outdoors. So I just love that challenge that you've set us, and I hope if you're listening, you take it up. That you know you're worth taking that time out for, and that you'll experience the benefits of that. And I think you were saying about your five senses. I love that as just a sort of self-soothing technique. I use it with my little girl sometimes. She can get very emotional and very overwhelmed. So she's like, I can't calm down, Mum. I'll be like, what are five things you can see? What are four things you can hear? And by the time you've gone through it all, she's like, calm down. It like snaps you out if you're overwhelmed, doesn't it? And all of these things you're talking about, they're all things that just soothe our nervous system, aren't they? Like the outdoors, breathing, journaling. And then the last things you were saying, like we can only dream and create, I think, when we create that space in our lives to do it. And I think it can be scary sometimes when we're so busy, we're so caught up in business to stop and slow down and to feel and to notice our feelings because we know we're probably burying things that are bubbling away under the surface. But I love your idea of having a safe place to go to that feels safe so that you can just start to notice and feel those things in a way that feels safe and feels manageable. And then you're talking about bringing things back, maybe even emotionally, there's things you could leave. There's like stress you could leave and a sense of peace you could take back with you. And I'll go back to you in a minute. I'm just on one myself now. I've been thinking, it's just so good. I've been thinking a lot about the idea of like rest and retreat. And it's something we do talk about in the podcast, building in rest and slowing down our lives. But also retreating, it's almost like that conscious decision to retreat from the busyness. And as part of our faith, we believe that Jesus set that example, didn't he? He would like retreat from the crowds and he'd go away and speak to his dad and get, strategy and wisdom and recharge himself that way. And it's something that he invited his followers to do with him. He said, come away with me and find a quiet place to rest for a while. And I think whatever you believe about Jesus, if you believe he was who he said he was, if you believe he was like a wise man, or you think it's just a story, I think there's still wisdom in his teachings that he planned in intentional time in his busy schedule. And people were demanding so much from him all the time. He gives us his invitation to withdraw with him. And I think that's what you do. And that's the example that you set. And you live out the benefits of it. So thank you for sharing that. I think it was really powerful and just a real encouragement and challenge to us all. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I really do mean it. I do hope some people do embrace that time, embrace the date, circle a date in the diary and go for it. As you say, you can grab 20 minutes and you can do your lunch times. But when you set that time, that day away for yourself, a special day away, that is a retreat, isn't it? It is retreating for yourself. It's retreating with Jesus, if that's your faith. It's retreating for yourself. You have to make time for yourself, because we tell ourselves that we can hear, we know our minds, we know our thoughts. But actually, when you turn off all the distractions, and that's the reason why I said deliberately, like the safe space is outdoors. It's not indoors, because if you stay indoors, you'll do your washing, you'll check your emails, you'll check your phone, you'll phone your friends, you'll say, let's go for a cuppa. And that's not it. That's a different thing altogether. And time with people is absolutely needed for us to survive. But so is silence and solitude as well.
Yeah, and it's something we neglect, I think, definitely in our society now. And it's just building in those moments as well, isn't it? Like building in the moments of daily retreat and rest, weekly, but then monthly, like you're saying, more intentionally, monthly and yearly. Even like maybe going away for a week to a retreat or something like that is just so beneficial, isn't it? Oh, it was so good, Ashley, so good. Thank you so much. I really loved your message today. So, Ashley, are you happy for people to connect with you following on from the podcast? Where's the best place for them to do that? Would it be like your Instagram, or tell us how to stay in touch with you?
Yeah, totally. Anyone can reach out to me on Instagram. I've put an extra A in there. So I am ashleyaandrew, ASHLEYAAAAANDREW, can't even say it. Ashley A. Andrew, and then it's LinkedIn. You can catch me on there if anyone wants to see what I'm up to professionally. So I'm Ashley Andrew Actor on LinkedIn.
Oh, fantastic. So yes, we encourage you to do that. Stay in touch and see what you're up to. I loved hearing about the work you're doing just now, that you're using your creativity to help others. I think that's awesome. And I know creativity is super important to you. Also, Asha, it's been so good. So just for fun, just to end on a fun note after that amazing chat we've had, tell us just for fun, what would you have for your last meal on earth?
It's such a hard question sometimes, because everybody just loves food, don't we?
Yes, it's hard to decide.
So because of the season that we're in, I will say, so I'm going for the 3 courses, Joanne. Like, I'm not just going for like the one meal thing.
Yes, your last meal, right? Get what you can.
No, I might even go for the 4. Courses, little entree to start with.
I know.
No, I'm not that. Like, no. I probably need something hearty, so I'd say I'm a big soup eater. My favourite soup is leek potato soup, but I'm going to push that to one side because it's my last meal, and go for a particular one that's popular at this time of the year. It's called cream of Christmas soup.
Oh, hello.
Which is made with turkey. It's got a little bit of cream in it. It's got a little bit like Worcestershire sauce in it, I think. So it's a little bit of a kick in it. I know you wouldn't think of putting that in soup. My mother used to make it, and it only comes out once every year. So I think it's in Delia Smith's Christmas book. So anybody, good old Delia Smith, it's in there, cream of Christmas soup. So that's the starter. Then I'm going to go for, well, it's got to be the carbs, because it's not going to matter, is it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with macaroni cheese. And just to name drop, I was at the Edinburgh Fringe this year, and there was a mac and cheese stand, and they had truffle oil and parmesan on top.
Hello.
It was so good. So I think I'll have to have all of that as well. Again, it doesn't matter. And then for dessert, see, I have got the sweetest tooth. So this is a real sticking point for me. And I feel like it also gives an insight to everybody's souls, whatever dessert you go for. So I'll stuff it. I'm going to have 2 desserts. It's my last meal. So I'm going to I'll have sticky toffee pudding, which lets you know just how sweet I do like my desserts. And also, again, something that some people might not have heard of, this is a proper 90s kid dish, was fluffy ding dong pudding.
What?
Which was a bit of like what was like looking around the cupboard. So I'm pretty sure, like, so there was like a tin of tinned fruit. Then I think there was a layer of jelly. Sounds like the thing at a friend's, isn't it? Like when she puts all the random stuff in.
Yeah.
So it was tinned fruit, jelly, and then mushrooms. That's the fluffy ding dongs.
What's in the top?
Marshmallows.
I thought you said mushrooms. It must be. That's like that's too far. Is this like an Andrew special? Is this like a Mummy Andrew special, or is it an actual thing?
I'm sure this was genuinely when the cupboards were bare in the 90s, and it was like, what can you give the kids? But also with the marshmallows, the fruit, and the jelly, that was a lot of E numbers, so it probably wasn't the best move.
No, we're paid for it later. I feel like some of these are definitely like Andrew family specials.
It's made up. No, it's true.
Nice
It's true.
way though.
She's never made it since. Probably why, actually, to be fair, because of the E
She like,
numbers.
had to like scrape you off the walls after, off the ceiling. Oh, well, I have to say that the mac and cheese with truffle oil sounds exquisite. Like I've had chips with parmesan and truffles. Like that sounds so snobby, doesn't it? But for a treat, obviously. But you can't beat a good mac and cheese. But that just takes it to the next level, doesn't it? And how much fun is the Fringe? If you've not been to the Edinburgh Fringe before, you've got to go. Like the atmosphere is amazing, isn't it? It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's intense. It's really,
Yeah, I can imagine it's intense if you're working at it. It's a different ball game.
and plan well. Like I would say, anyone out there was a theatre company this year who couldn't afford to stay in Edinburgh, funnily enough, so they travelled from Carlisle. Probably shouldn't say this because it doesn't really promote Scottish tourism, but I'll say it anyway because it's your audience and you got to do what's good for you. So yes, because on the train from Carlisle, it's only an hour to Edinburgh. So you wouldn't need to pay. So, if I'm sure your audience is very savvy and knows, has some tricks up their sleeves. So people should share. But come to Fringe. Yeah, there's nothing like it.
That is a good shout because it's so hard to get accommodation, isn't it? Yeah, so Carlisle. Oh, amazing. Oh, Ashley, that's been so good. Thank you so much for chatting to us tonight. And just really enjoyed this conversation with you. And please, if you're listening, let me or Ashley know if you try this, if you try building this time of actively seeking out safe spaces in your life to retreat and recharge. We'd love to hear what that looks like for you and what benefits you found. So let's keep each other accountable and just share how we're getting on. But I can only imagine the benefits that will bring to your life. So Ashley, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's been absolutely wonderful having you on.
I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. I'll keep listening to that podcast because it's so, so good.
Oh, thank you so much. Lovely to see you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you've had some inspiration to look after yourself, body, mind, and soul, and feel as well as you deserve to do. Please remember to subscribe and share this podcast if it's been helpful for you. And I'll see you again soon with another episode and some more amazing guests. Take care.